Bonjour, aujourd'hui vous allez prendre beaucoup de notes sur beaucoup de verbes, donc allons-y. So we have the future that talks about what will happen. In French, the simple future is made up of one word where we take the infinitive and we just add these 6 endings. If we have an infinitive that ends with RE, we just get rid of the E. So, je parlerai, nous parlerons. I will talk, we will talk. We also have the conditional to express what would happen. So not quite as certain, sort of a hypothetical. Again, it's one word, and it's formed the exact same way that the future is. Here are the endings for the conditional. They're very similar, but not the same to the future endings, so make sure you notice the differences. Je parlerai, nous parlerions. And speaking, a lot of these verbs are going to sound the same in the future in the conditional, so you'll know by context what you are trying to say. It's important to remember that verbs that have spelling changes in the present tense keep these changes in the simple future and the conditional. Here are some stems which change in the future and the conditional. Avoir, aller, être, faire, envoyer, which is to send, venir, courir, to run, mourir, to die, savoir, to know, devoir, valoir, falloir, voir, pouvoir, and vouloir. So the future, we have certain constructions so that we can use them. We're going to use the future when we have the words when, as soon as, and as long as. And just as a note, we already know a way to use the future in French by using aller in the infinitive. That's called the futur proche. And so that translates as going to happen, which makes sense because the verb aller is to go. The futur simple is a little bit further down the road, and it's what will happen. Here are some examples. Quand nous irons à Bruxelles, nous ferons un tour. We see both verbs have to be put in the future. That's just grammatically how they have to do it in French. As soon as, or rather as long as, you are hitchhiking, your mother will worry. And on the right-hand side, we have an example of the futur proche with aller in an infinitive, and the futur simple, which is just one verb. The conditional, it's often used for politeness. So we have to want, to be able to, ought to, should, and to know. We can also use a conditional to express a hypothesis or a hypothetical, and we'll use that typically in C phrases. So here are some examples of the conditional to show politeness. And then on the right side, we're seeing some hypotheticals. In your place, I would take my sleeping bag. And in these final 2 sentences, we have the verb in the conditional, but we also have our see clause. And after the word see, we have our verbs in the imparfait. So you should remember from last year learning see, imparfait, and the conditional. We have the future antérieur to express what will have happened. And this is formed by essentially putting the helping verb, like we see in the passé composé, in the future, and then having the past participle. So it has 2 parts to the verb, just like the passé composé, and the first part's in the future. And we'll use it after the phrase après que. Après que tu auras appris à faire du ski, tu pourras passer les vacances en Suisse. After you will have learned how to ski, you will be able to ski in Switzerland, or go on vacation in Switzerland. And the future antérieur used with the future shows that these aren't simultaneous actions. One happened first. So we can see if we want to show simultaneous actions, we're going to use future, but if we want to show non-simultaneous actions, we'll use the future antérieur and the future together in a sentence. The conditional past shows what would have happened. We put our helping verb avoir or être in the conditional, and then we have our past participle. And this is commonly used in our see clauses, our phrases with see. Here's a chart summarizing what we know about C phrases from last year. If we have in a sentence an idea that's being expressed, and we have the word see, and then a verb in the present, typically then later on in the sentence we will see a verb in the future simple. If we put our verb that follows see in the imparfait, further down the line in that sentence we should see the conditional. And if we put our verb that follows C's in the pluscuparfait, we should see the conditional past. So here's some examples. If you refuse to travel, you will never know the word. See is at the beginning. Then we have our verb in the present. After the comma, the second verb gets put in the future. We're able to flip-flop this word order too. So we see here that our first verb is in the future. Then our word see is in the middle. And the verb that most directly follows that word if is in the present. If I have courage, I will go parasailing. We see the see plus the present, comma, then the future. And then the other way around. We have the future and then see plus the present. Think of it like a math equation. As long as we have something equals something, it doesn't matter which side of the equal sign these are on. We have the see plus the imparfait and then the conditional. So if they got a sunburn, they would not go out tomorrow. We have see, then our verb in the imparfait, plus our verb in the conditional. And we can reverse the order as long as the verb closest to see is in the imparfait. Then finally, we have see plus the pluscuparfait and then the conditional passé. If I had learned Chinese, I would go to China. So we have the word if, see, our pluscuparfait, the verb closest to it, and then later in the sentence, we have our conditional past. And there you have it. We have several different see clauses and several different verbs. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask in class tomorrow. À demain!